Good morning. This is Dr. Bill White again, and I want to talk to you about orthodontics naturally. And I want to talk a little bit this morning about the necessity of some orthodontics being taught in dental schools. If people know orthodontics, it's hard for them to do a proper dental process. They cannot do the things they need to do. And so I want to discuss just a short video this morning, and I want to go back here to a case where we had a little girl with an ectopically erupting tooth. In other words, the permanent tooth was coming in underneath the deciduous second molar and had eaten the root of the molar off completely. And what you do is not try to push this back with the deciduous tooth, but put a little tube on it and bond and put a little spring in there and reach up and hook it on the other teeth in front of it. And you can bond a wire on about 3 or 4 teeth up there and do this. Let me go ahead through this now. We're going to do it real fast. This cute little gal, and she's just nice as she could be. And so here is her mouth, and we've got this thing going back here. I don't need to stress that part, but right up here on the teeth, I could have just bonded a wire on there. I didn't get this needle here. Let me put that up there, and I can show you the wire. You could just bond a wire here and go over here and put a little bond in it and go back here and bond it. Just make a piece of wire that it's got a couple of O's in the end and have it fit and bond on there, and that's all in the world you need. I had brackets on the teeth. I didn't even think about the bonding like that, so I'll erase that and we'll go ahead. And then you've got to put a tube back here on the molar that's coming in underneath the baby tooth. That's the same thing on there. We had these bonded. I can show you that on the x-ray better. Now this is after the thing is finished, really. Pull this molar tooth out from under somewhere down in here. It'll show up good on the x-rays in just a few minutes. And now you keep that in there and pull it forward, and you close the space up. Now, anybody can do this, and they ought to know. If they don't want to do it, send it to somebody and get it done. If you're going to work on kids, you've got to know some of this stuff. And whether you want to do it or not, it ought to be taught in the dental schools. You ought to be shown what can be done. And I've been trying to do this I think I did this case about 30 some odd years ago, and it's still, people haven't got it. It's hard to get some things going. And now here it is, looking at it, and the permanent tooth is down under, and the root of this deciduous tooth is gone, but the anterior root is still there. But if you try to shove this tooth back by working off of this tooth, you'll lose the thing, and now this tooth will erupt. That'll go, and it'll come way on up here, and you'll be really short over here. So you're going to have to take out teeth, or you have a job pushing this, and the second molar and the wisdom tooth follow behind this. Now this ought to be done early in treatment. When this is first seen, it's got to be done. This old waiting till they're 12 or 14 before you see them, it just is not the way to cut it. And so I have been fussing about this for years, but it hasn't gotten on yet. So I guess I'm going to leave this earth, and I hope that this can be learned and done. So let's go on and look at the x-ray. Here the tooth is, and this little spring that we made right here, you break it up and you hook it to the back, to the distal part of one of your bonds here, because as this tooth comes out of here, this spring is going to move backwards, and this will be down here somewhere when it gets up. But the force is down on this tooth, and it'll take it, and this root can take some down force. But this tooth right here, if you try to use this second bicuspid and push this tooth up, you will lose it every time. And that's what happens. Or if you just sat around on the case and do nothing, this 6-year molar will erupt up in here somewhere. So this is essential that people know about this. Dentists ought to be taught it in dental school. Just show it to them. It's not going to mess up your orthodontic department at all. They should know that. Now, let's go to this is after it uprights the tooth. The tooth is going to just come out like that. It just pulled away from this and just moves up. And if you put that on, if the second molar's in the way, it'll push it up. And you can just bond a wire on this portion right here. And this puts very little strain on this tooth. And we did it when we got it up here, we pulled it up, and that tooth was able to remain there until the bicuspid was ready to come in. And this ought to be taught to everybody that's going to work on any kids. If you say, well, I'm not going to work them, I'm not going to do this, well, send it to somebody. And this ought to be done and learned in the orthodontic school. Interceptive and preventive stuff should be taught in the orthodontic schools, and so they would know how to do it if you get it referred to you. Now there the tooth is. This hook right here was back here. See, when we started, it pulled this tooth out of there and set it back here. Now you take some of the activation out of this and just leave it, and you pull forward on this, and you'll pull this tooth right up in behind here, and this tooth will keep it hammered down as you do that. And then this stays this way until this bicuspid comes in, but this molar will be right up in here behind it. Now, this is something that ought to be taught in the dental schools to everybody. Whether you work on kids or not, you ought to know how to do this. It's an essential thing to do. Now there it was like that, and now this little spring will just push that thing right out from under this tooth. You saw it on that x-ray. And there's the little spring that did the job, and you don't have to be a brain surgeon to be able to make that spring, and you bond a tube on that tooth down there. You want the tube bonded on the side of the tooth so you can insert this spring, and then you bring it up and cock it in. But make sure this hook is close to this bicuspid, because it will slide back there. This circle comes out of there, as you can see. Now, I hope to goodness that more people learn this and don't send these kids. I mean, this is so ridiculous to say, well, you don't need to mess with anything here until they're 12 or 14 years old. That is absolutely wrong. You need to do some interceptive and preventive stuff, or the problem gets really tough. Now, if you get this tooth up here where it ought to be, then you've got space for these teeth to erupt in here, and the case might go on with nothing else to do to it. So I'm going to hush up here. And this is the little girl. She was very nice, and I was very thankful that we could do this for her. So I'll hush, I hope you look at this and learn. If you don't know how to do this, learn how to do it. It is not difficult. And I hope that this will get to people. I've been talking about this. I think I did this case 36 years ago, and I've lectured on it, and I have not yet seen very many people that use it. They do some ridiculous thing about getting that 6-year molar back. So I'm going to hang up. Thank you for watching, and I'll stop right here if I can find my arrow.